It's time for bookkeeping, beer, and BS. What are you guys seeing from your clients or in your own businesses about this like transition time? Are people like, oh shit, it's winter all of a sudden? Or has it like not totally like sunk in yet?
You want to go first, Michael? Or you want me to? I guess I will. Yeah.
Why did you give Angela an option?
Go, Dave. Michael and I were talking about this last week, right? Didn't you have a customer? You asked me, what do you do for clients who want to, stop advertising or pausing? And we have
100%.
Three. Yeah, we have 2 or 3. And I feel like on our end of it, like I give them a start date, because if I'm not setting a start date, then, I don't know if they're going to be my customer again, So I say, on March 1st or April 1st, whatever day you want to start, we'll start back working for you. Some guys are like gung ho, like, let's keep going, man. We need to get ahead of the curve. That way, when spring comes around, we're going to be doing better. So I was on a call with a guy yesterday, and he's switching his services up. He's like, I'm going to focus more on commercial work because, commercial's not going to matter whether it's winter or summer. So.
Mm-hmm. I could see, so Dave, with like trying to help improve somebody's website ranking, I think you can make a really strong case. It makes a whole lot of sense to be kicking ass on that over the winter so that when you get to the spring, you're number one. Like, why would you want to wait to the spring to be like, okay, now make us number one? It's like by the time you get started, the leads would already be flowing and you wouldn't be number one. So, I mean, from my perspective, like for our business here, I use both of you guys. I fully don't intend to be like, hey, can you stop doing work on our behalf so when we get started in the spring, we're farther down and have more work to do to climb back up? I'd be like, all right, like, let's make sure we make enough money now so we can keep paying you to keep doing work.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's business is in a different spot, though. I get it. If you're trying to grow and you got like 2 employees, like, I totally get it. But if you got like 20 employees,
that's where I was going to go.
Yep.
Michael, what are your thoughts? Because you're doing
seasonal businesses. Is my internet connection bad, or is Dan breaking up?
I don't know.
Is it me?
I think it's your internet connection. I think Dan's fine.
Oh no!
Nice.
So when I'm talking, you guys might not be able to hear a thing I'm saying.
No, you're doing good.
Seasonal businesses, exterior cleaning, landscaping, pole cleaning. It's like this perpetual cycle of get fat and happy throughout the year, go crazy in debt into the winter. Spend the first 3 or 4 months paying off the debt, get money, then go into debt. And the reason the smaller businesses like stage 1, 2, I actually encourage some of them to stop. And it's all based on, tell me what your cash flow, what's your profitability, what's your EBITDA this year, and really just get a sense of their cash positioning. Because yes, I do agree that continuing the services for those 2 to 3 months where it is slow is in the best interest. But is it worth going, more and more into debt by spending that extra money? And that's the question that you want to ask. And so I would say, if you're in the business for the long haul, the objective is to save up enough reserves for the winter time that you're not in debt. Then you can keep these things. So let's do more boots on the ground. Let's do more grassroots to get to the point where we have enough cash reserves to pay for those things in the wintertime. So year 1, year 2, maybe pause it. But most of our businesses now are $500,000 and above. So our attrition during the wintertime is relatively low relative to what it was 3 years ago.
Do you guys have a process for like pausing people? Like Dave, you said as long as you give them a start date. Michael, do you have a process for like a customer like that where you'd say like, hey, I think you should pause it?
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. So we call December 15th like D-Day. We shift services. So we go from Google ads, Facebook ads, services like lead gen, bottom of funnel lead gen, to more content creation, working on the brand, just, refining the website, more technical things. That's not necessarily lead gen. We also do a lot of coaching on how you can increase your brand awareness, brand integrity, things like that. So there's still value from our account manager's perspective, but it's certainly not on lead generation in Minnesota for window cleaning. That's not going to happen.
I got you. Angela, I feel like your business model crosses enough different industries where do you see any like seasonal flow like that, or is it just business as usual for you?
No, we have clients that are definitely seasonal. And this reminded me of a few different things in the marketing aspect of just really the education of clients. Like you guys said, that marketing isn't a like gas gas stop of the education of the consistency and the results you get in consistency over start, stop. And then when I was in the dance studio era and did coaching of dance studio owners, that was very seasonal. Like you were saying, Michael, like get fat and happy, right? You had students and then all of a sudden there was a dry season of summer that there was nothing. And so it was about educating them and like services for them, like marketing and things like that, pitching it differently to them. And like when I would sign them up for a service, they would only pay for it in the 8 months. So for example, like the marketing budget for the whole year, you know, say SEO for the whole year or whatever they were spending, if they were doing ads in the newspaper or whatever, we're going to spend $1,000 for the whole year, but they only paid for it in those 8 months. So then when they tried to turn it off,
super smart.
I was like, good, you can turn it off. You're right. You don't have to pay for it right now because we already paid for it.
Ah, nice. I like that.
Just doing that as a vendor to set it up for, just reminded me of that. That's different than the green space, but it was kind of the same with the dance studios. If I could have a vendor set them up that way, then there was no temptation to turn it off.
We've talked about that. At what scale have you done that, Angela? Because my concern would be if everybody's on the same 8-month cycle, as an example, that's 4 months where you're not going to get revenue. And I could just see where, you're all these revenues coming in. I don't know if I would have this issue, but other businesses would say, got all this money saved up, not planning for those 4 months of $60,000 a month in labor you have to pay, $8,000 a month in software. Like that's a lot of expenses when the revenue doesn't kind of cover it.
So you as a big business, you have to really plan for that, and then you're banking for that. Like I would like literally, really plan for it. Yeah. So your margins, your labor percentage has to be even lower than you'd expect because you have to plan for those 2-3 months or whatever. This is how I do it when I was 25 and didn't know what I was doing. I would set up 4 different extra savings accounts and knew I had to build them to cover all my expenses and income I wanted for my off months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only thing that scares me about that, but I love that model a lot. But yeah, the concept.
The other side of that, then, because we
like the profit first model, right? You could stick them in your bank account, right?
Yep. It's a great way to teach those people that, when they're starting, those earlier people, it's easy to do start, stop because they can't have a plan for that, right? But if as a vendor, you can have a plan for them in that.
Yeah. We live that life a lot with our window cleaning business, right? Because we're basically shut down 4 months. We're not like providing a service in those other 4 months. But I think one of the challenges we always have is then what do you do with your labor for 4 months when their labor isn't out producing? Do you put it on unemployment? Do you keep paying the labor to do like projects? And then you really had to like bank the revenue. So I feel like that's the other side of that.
Yeah.
That coin too is what do you do with your capacity? Are there projects that it should be working on? And do you have to like even bank more money to be able to afford to keep that capacity on? Or does your capacity like to have a couple months off, right? We have some dudes that are like, can't wait till the winter comes so I can go like snowboarding every day. And so it's a win-win for them. They get it's like a teacher almost, except instead of getting the summer off, they get the winter off.